taking on the spirit of Brooklyn.
That's very gratifying, Miss Brewster.
You see, living here next to the church all our lives, we've seen so many ministers come and go. The spirit of Brooklyn, we always say, is friendliness. And your sermons aren't so much sermons as friendly talks.
Personally, I've always enjoyed my talking with us. Well, have I met him yet?
No, dear, not yet. Are the biscuits good?
Fully.
Will you have another biscuit, Dr. Harper?
Oh, no. I'm afraid I'll have no appetite for dinner now. I always eat too many of your biscuits, just to taste that lovely jam.
But you haven't tried the quince. We always put a little apple in with it to take the tartness out.
No, thank you.
We'll send you over a jar.
No, you keep it here so I can be sure of having your biscuits with it.
I do hope they don't make us use that imitation flour again. I mean, with this war trouble. It may not be very charitable of me, but I've almost come to the conclusion that this Mr. Hitler isn't a Christian.
If only you're on another planet.
Yours, sir?
Yes, Teddy.
Point your gun the other way.
Gun?
Teddy?
To the west. There's your enemy. There's your danger. Japan.
Why, yes, of course.
Now, Teddy.
No, I haven't. Not so much talk about Europe and more about the canal.
Let's not talk about war, dear. Will you have another cup of tea?
No, thank you, Aunt Abby.
Dr. Harper.
No, thank you. I must admit, Miss Aggie, that war and violence seem far removed from these surroundings.
It is peaceful here, isn't it?
Yes, peaceful. The virtues of another day. They're all here in this house. The gentle virtues that went down with candlelight and good manners and low taxes.
It's one of the oldest houses in Brooklyn. It's just as it was when Grandfather Brewster built and furnished it, except for the electricity, and we use that as little as possible. It was Mortimer who persuaded us to put it in.
Yes, I can understand that. Your nephew Mortimer seems to live only by electric light.
The poor boy has to work so late. I understand he's taking Elaine to the theater again with him tonight. Teddy, your brother Mortimer, will be here a little later.
Delighted.
We're so glad it's Elaine Mortimer takes to the theater with him.
Well, it's a new experience for me to wake up until 3 o'clock in the morning for my daughter to be brought home.
Oh, Dr. Harper, I hope you don't disapprove of Mortimer.
Well,
We'd feel so guilty if you did, since it was an hour home that your daughter met Mortimer.
of course, Miss Abby, and so I'll say immediately that I believe Mortimer himself to be quite a worthy gentleman. But I must also admit that I have watched the growing intimacy between him and my daughter with some hesitance. For one reason, Miss Abby.
You mean his stomach, Dr. Harper?
His stomach?
His indigestion. He's bothered with it so, poor boy.
No, Miss Abby, I'll be frank with you. I'm speaking of your nephew's unfortunate connection with the theater.
The theater? Oh, no, Dr. Harper. Mortimer writes for a New York newspaper.
I know, Miss Abby, I know. But a dramatic critic is constantly exposed to the theater, and I don't doubt but what some of them do develop an interest in it.
Well, not Mortimer. You need have no fear of that. Why, Mortimer hates the theater.
Really?
Oh, yes, he writes awful things about the theater, but you can't blame him, poor boy. He was so happy writing about real estate, which he really knew something about. And then they made him take this terrible night position.
My.
But as he says, the theater can't last much longer anyway. And in the meantime, yes, I think if we give the theater another year or two, perhaps it will. Well, now, would you suppose that is no thank you, Teddy? I'll go. Come in, Mr. Brody.
Hello, Miss Brewster.
How are you, Mr. Klein?
Very well, Miss Brewster. What news have you brought me? Colonel, we have nothing to report. Splendid. Thank you, gentlemen. At ease.
You know Dr. Harper?
Sure. Hello, Dr. Harper. We came for the toys for the Christmas fund.
Oh, yes.
That's a splendid work you men do, fixing up your starter toys to give poor children a happier Christmas.
It gives us something to do when we have to sit around the station. You get tired playing cards, so you start cleaning your gun. The next thing you know, you shot yourself in the foot.
Teddy, go upstairs and get that big box from your Aunt Martha's room. How is Mrs. Brody today? Mrs. Brody has been quite ill, Dr. Harper.
Oh, no. I'm sorry to hear that.
Charge! She's better now. A little weak still.
I'm going to get you some beef broth to take to her.
No bother with Abby. You've done so much for her already.
Oh, we made it this morning. Sister Martha is taking some to poor Mr. Mencke right now. It won't be a minute. Sit down and be comfortable, all of you.
It's been good all that trouble.
Listen, try to stop her or her sister from doing something nice and for nothing. They don't even care how you vote.
When I received my call to Brooklyn and moved next door, my wife wasn't well. When she died, and for months before, well, if I know of pure kindness and Absolute generosity, Aggie, because I've known the Brewster sisters.
Colonel, you promised not to do that. But I must consult my cabinet to get the release of those supplies.
He used to do that in the middle of the night. The neighbors raised cake with us. They're a little afraid of him anyway.
He's quite harmless.
Suppose he does think he's Teddy Roosevelt. There are a lot worse people he could think he was.
Damn shame. A nice family like this, acting a cuckoo.
Well, it seems to me that his father, the old girl's brother, was some sort of a genius, wasn't he? And their father, Teddy's grandfather, seems to me he was a little crazy too.
Yeah, he was crazy like a fox. He made $1 million.
Really? Here in Brooklyn?
Yeah, patent medicine. He was a kind of quack of some sort. Old Sergeant Evers remembers him. He used this here's house as some sort of clinic, trying to out on people.
Yeah, I hear he used to make mistakes occasionally too.
The department never bothered him much because he was pretty useful for autopsies, especially poison cases.
Well, whatever he did, he left his daughters fixed for life. Thank God for that.
Not that they ever spent it on themselves.
Yes, I'm well acquainted with their charities.
You don't know a tenth of it. When I was with the Missing Persons Bureau, we were trying to trace a man that we never did find. Hey, do you know that there's a renting agency that's got this house down on its list for furnished rooms? They don't rent rooms. You can bet that anyone coming in here looking for a room will go out with a good meal, probably a few dollars in their kick.
It's just their way of digging out people to do them so good too.
Oh, well, now isn't this nice?
Good afternoon, Miss Brewster.
How do you do, Officer Brody, Dr. Harper, Mr. Klein?
How are you, Miss Brewster? We just dropped in for the Christmas toys.
Oh, yes, Teddy's diamond lady. They wear out. They're all packed.
Oh, the colonel's upstairs after him. It seems that the cabinet has to okay it.
Yes, of course. I hope Mrs. Brody's better.
She's doing fine, ma'am. Your sister's getting some soup for me to take to her.
Yes, we made it this morning. I just took some to a poor man who broke ever so many bones. Oh, you're back, Martha. How is Mr. Minsky? Well, it's pretty serious, I'm afraid. The doctor was there. They're going to amputate in the morning. Can we be present? No, I asked, but he says it's against the rules of the hospital.
You couldn't be of any service, and you must spare yourself something.
Here's the broth, Mr. Brody. Be sure it's good and hot.
Yes, ma'am.
This is fine. That'll make a lot of kids happy. That O'Malley boy is nuts about soldiers.
That's been a month. I retired. What's this? The organ?
Teddy, dear, put it back.
The organ goes to Australia.
Now, Teddy.
No, I give my words to Fighting Bob Evans.
But Teddy.
What's the difference what kid gets it? Bobby Evans, Hippie Cohen. We'll run along now, and thank you very much.
Not at all.
Thanks again, ma'am.
Goodbye.
I must be going home.
Dr. Harper, before you go, there was something
Charge! Charge the blockhouse!
The blockhouse?
The stairs are always set on hill.
Have you ever tried to persuade him that he wasn't Teddy Roosevelt?
Oh, no. He's so happy being Teddy Roosevelt. Once, a long time ago. Remember, Martha? We thought if he would be George Washington, it might be a change for him. But he stayed under his bed for days. He wouldn't be anybody. And we'd so much rather he be Mr. Roosevelt than nobody.
Well, if he's happy, and what's more important, you're happy, you'll see that he signs these.
What are they? And Dr. Harper has arranged for Teddy to go to Happy Vale Sanitarium after we pass on. But why should Teddy sign any papers now?
It's better to have it all settled. If the Lord should take you away suddenly, perhaps we couldn't persuade Teddy to commit himself. And that would mean an unpleasant legal procedure. Mr. Witherspoon understands they're to be filed away until the time comes to use them.
Mr. Witherspoon? Who is he?
The superintendent of Happydale.
Dr. Harper has arranged for him to drop in tomorrow or next day to meet Teddy.
I must be going home, or Elaine will be over here looking for me.
And give our love to Elaine. And Dr. Harper, please don't think harshly of Mortimer because he's a dramatic critic. Somebody has to do those things. Did you just have tea? Isn't it rather late? Yes, and it is going to be late too. So, why? Teddy?
Yes?
Teddy, I've got good news for you. You're going to Panama to dig another lock for the canal.
He likes it. That's bully. Just bully. I should prepare bonds for the journey. Charge!
Why was that? Yes, I just couldn't wait for you. I didn't know when you'd be back. Dr. Harper was coming. But all by yourself? Oh, I got along fine. I'll run right downstairs and see. Oh, I've never seen you walk out on a musical before.
That musical isn't opening tonight.
No?
Darling, you have to learn the rules. With a musical, there are always 4 changes of title and 3 postponements. They liked it in New Haven, but it needs a lot of work.
I was hoping it was a musical.
You have such a light mind.
None of it. Musicals somehow have a humanizing effect on you. After a serious play, we take the subway and I listen to a lecture on drama. But after a musical, you take me home in a taxi and play with me captain.
Now, wait a minute, Tommy. That's a very inaccurate piece of reporting.
Oh, I will admit that after the Berman play, you told me I had authentic beauty. And that's a hell of a thing to say to a girl. But it wasn't until after our first musical you told me I had nice legs.
For a minister's daughter, you know a lot about life. But where did you learn it?
In the choir loft.
I'll have to explain that to you sometime, darling. The close connection between reproduction and religion.
Religion never gets its high as the choir loft. Which reminds me, I better run over and tell Father please not to wait up for me.
I've never been able to rationalize it.
Rationalize what?
My falling in love with a girl who lives in Brooklyn.
Falling in love? You're not doing the articulate, are you?
The only way I can regain my self-respect is to keep you in New York.
Did you say keep?
No. I've come to the conclusion that you're holding out for the legality.
I can afford to be a good girl for quite a few years yet.
And I can't wait that long. Where could we be married in a hurry? Say tonight.
I'm afraid Father will insist on officiating.
Oh, God, I bet your father could make even a marriage service sound pedestrian.
Are you by any chance writing a review of it?
Forgive me, darling. It's an occupational disease. I may give that plate tonight a good review.
Oh, don't pretend to love me that much.
Be sure to tell your father not to wait up for you tonight.
I think tonight I better tell him to wait up.
I'll telephone Winchell to publish the bands.
Nevertheless,
I'll write everything formal and legal, but nothing later than next month.
darling, I'll talk it over with Father and set the date.
I don't know. We'll have to see within rehearsal. There'll be a lot of other first nights in October.
Hello, Mortimer.
How are you, Mr. President?
Fully, just fully. What news have you brought me?
Justice, Mr. President. The country is squarely behind you.
Yes, I know. Isn't it wonderful? Well, goodbye. Goodbye.
Goodbye, Daddy. Where are you off to?
Panama. Panama's the cellar. He digs lots for the canal.
You're so sweet with him, and he's very fond of you.
Well, Teddy always was my favorite brother.
Favorite? Were there more of you?
There was another brother, Jonathan.
I've never heard of him before. Your aunt never mentioned him.
Oh, we don't like to talk about Jonathan very much. He left Brooklyn very early, by request. Jonathan was the kind of boy who liked to cut worms into with his teeth.
What became of him?
We don't know. He wanted to become a surgeon like grandfather, but he wouldn't go to medical school first, which practice got him into some trouble.
Aren't you two going to be late for the theater?
Oh no, we're skipping dinner. We won't have to start for half an hour.
Well, then I'll leave you two alone together again. Oh, don't bother, darling. I've got to run over and speak to Father. Before I go out, would you like to pray over me a little? Well, I'll take a shortcut to the cemetery.
If the prayer isn't too long, I may have time to leave you beside distilled water.
Why, Mortimer, that's the first time I've ever heard you quote the Bible. We knew Elaine would have a good influence on you.
By the way, I'm going to marry her.
What? Oh, darling. Martha, come right in here. I've got the most wonderful news for you. Mortimer and Elaine
you tell Elaine? Oh, Abby, while I was out, I dropped in on Mrs. Schultz. She's much better, but she would like us to take Chidsey to the movies again.
Well, we must do that tomorrow, or next day.
Yes, but this time we'll go where we want to go. Chidsey's not going to drag me into another one of those scary pictures.
Hello, see it. Say, Al, you know who this is? That's right. Say, Al, when I left the office, I told you where I was going, remember? Well, where did I say? It takes me half an hour to get to Royalton. What time is it now? That's right, I must be here. That's Abby, Aunt Father, come in here. What are we going to do? What are we going to do?
What are we going to do about what, dear?
There's a body in there.
Yes, Mr. Hoskins.
Well, good heavens, I can't just turn you over to the police. Well, what am I going to do?
Well, for one thing, dear, stop being so excited.
And for pity's sake, stop worrying. We told you to forget the whole thing.
Forget? My dear Aunt Abby, can't I make you realize that something has to be done?
Now, Mortimer, you behave yourself. You're too old to be flying off the handle like this.
But Mr. Hoskins!
Hoskins, dear.
Whatever his name is, you can't leave him there.
We don't intend to, dear.
No, Teddy's down in the cellar digging the lot.
You're going to bury Mr. Hoskins in the cellar?
Yes, dear. What will we do with the others?
You can't bury others.
The other husband.
When you say others, you mean others? More than one others? Something's come up.
What, darling? Mortimer, you've lost your job?
No, I haven't lost my job. I'm just not covering that play tonight. Now, you run along home, Elaine.
But I've got to know what happened. Certainly, you can tell me.
No, dear, I can't.
But if we're going to be married...
Married?
Have you forgotten that not 15 minutes ago you proposed to me?
Did? Oh, I did. Well, as far as I know, that's still on. Now, you run along home, Elaine. I've got to do something.
Listen, you can't propose to me 1 minute, throw me out of the house the next.
I'm not throwing you out of the house, darling. Will you get out of here?
No, I will not get out of here. We're supposed to go to the theater tonight, and I'm not leaving till I have some kind of explanation.
Elaine! Hello? Hello, Al. Hold on a minute, will you? All right, it's important, but it can wait a minute, can't it? Hold on. Elaine, you're a sweet girl and I love you. I just have something on my mind right now, and I want you to go home and wait until I call.
Don't try to be masterful.
When we're married, and I have problems to face, I hope you're less tedious and uninspired.
And when we're married, if we're married, I hope I find you adequate.
Elaine! 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 Oh. Hello? Hello, Al. Oh, hello, Al. This is Mortimer.
That's the doorbell, dear, not the telephone. How do you do? Come in.
I understand you have a room to rent.
Yes, won't you step in?
Are you the lady of the house?
Yes, I'm Miss Brewster. And this is my sister, another Miss Brewster.
My name's Gibbs.
Won't you sit down? I'm sorry, we're just setting the table for dinner.
Oh, hello. Let me speak to Al. City desk. Al! City desk. What? Oh, wrong number. I'm sorry. That's the room.
Why don't you sit down and let's get acquainted?
That won't do much good if I don't like the room.
Is Brooklyn your home?
Haven't got a home. Live in a hotel. Don't like it. Hello, a city desk.
Are your family Brooklyn people?
Haven't got any family.
All alone in the world?
Yup.
Well, Martha, well, you've come to just the right house. Do sit down.
Hello, Al. Mort. We just got cut off. Say, Al, I can't cover that plate tonight. That's all there is to it. I can't.
What church do you go to? There's an Episcopal church practically next door.
I'm Lutheran. Used to be. What's George doing in Bermuda? Well, of course I told him he could go to Bermuda. It's my department, isn't it? Well, there's got to be somebody around the office. There always too much noise.
Oh, he doesn't live with us.
Well, how about the office for you? You know, the bright one, the one we don't like. Well, you look around the office and I'll hold up. I'd really like to see the room.
It's upstairs. Won't you try a glass of our wine before we start up?
Never touch it.
We make this ourselves. It's elderberry wine.
Elderberry wine? Haven't tasted elderberry wine since I was a boy. Well, there's got to be some printers around it. Say, Al, the fellow who sets my copy, he ought to know what I write. His name's Joe. He's the third machine from the left. Now listen, Al. He may turn out to be another Burns man. You ever know all the right bushes?
No, but the cemetery's full of them.
No, I'm not drinking, but I'm going to start now. You serve meals?
We might, but first just see whether you like our wine. More not that.
Ah! Get out of this house! You're going to be murdered, you're going to be tried, you're going to be killed!
Now you've spoiled everything.
Can't do things like that. I don't know how to explain this to you, but it's not only against the law, it's wrong. It's not a nice thing to do. People wouldn't understand. He wouldn't understand.
Abby, we shouldn't have told Mortimer.
What I mean is, this has developed into a very bad habit.
Mortimer, we don't try to stop you from doing things you like to do. I don't see why you should interfere with us.
Hello? All right, I'll see the first act and I'll turn the hell out. But listen, Al, I need you to do something for me. Get a hold of O'Brien, our lawyer, the head of our legal department. Have him meet me at the theater. Now don't let me down. All right, I'm starting now. Listen, darlings, I have to go to the theater and I can't get out of it. But before I go, will you promise me something?
We'd have to know what it was first.
I love you very much, and I know you love me. I'd do anything in the world for you, and I want you to do just this little thing for me.
What do you want us to do?
Don't do anything. I mean, don't do anything.
He's a plastic surgeon. He changes people's faces.
Oh, I've seen that face before. Abby, remember when we took the little Schultz to the movies and I was so frightened? It was that face.
Easy, Johnny, easy. Don't worry, ladies. The last 5 years I gave Johnny 3 new faces. I give him another right away. This last face, well, I saw that picture too, right before I operated. And I was intoxicated.
You see, Doctor? You see, you've done me even my back.
Your home, in this lovely house. How often he tells me about Brody, about this house, about his aunts that he loves so much. But they know you, Johnny. You know it's Jonathan. Speak to him. Tell him so.
Well, Jonathan, it's been a long time. What have you been doing all these years?
Yes, Jonathan, where have you been?
Oh, England, South Africa, Australia. The last 5 years, Chicago. Dr. Einstein and I were in business there together.
We were in Chicago for the World's Fair.
Yes, we found Chicago awfully warm.
Yeah, it got hot for us too.
Well, it's wonderful to be back in Brooklyn again. And you, Aggie, Martha, you don't look a day older. You're just as I remembered you, sweet, charming, hospitable. And dear Teddy, did he get into politics? My little brother, Doctor, he was determined to become president.
Oh, Teddy's just fine. And Mortimer's well, too.
Yes, I know about Mortimer. I've seen the picture at the head of his column. He's evidently fulfilled all the promise of his early nasty nature.
We're very fond of Mortimer.
Well, Jonathan, it's very nice to have seen you again.
Bless you, Aunt Martha. It's good to be home again.
Well, Martha, we mustn't let what's on the stove boil over. Martha?
Oh, yes, if you'll excuse us for a minute, unless you're in a hurry to go somewhere.
Better, Johnny, better we go from here. You got to think fast. The police have got pictures of that face. I got to operate on you right away. We got to find a place for that. And we got to find a place for Mr. Spenalzo, too.
Don't waste any worry on that rat.
Oh, but Johnny, we got a hot stiff on our hands.
Forget Mr. Spenalzo.
But you can't just leave a dead body in the rumble seat. You shouldn't have killed him, Johnny. He's a nice fellow. He gives us a lift when what happens.
He said I looked like Boris Karloff. That's your work, Doctor. You did that to me.
Don't worry, Johnny. We find some place. I'll fix you up quick.
Tonight.
Johnny, I got to eat first. I'm hungry. I'm weak.
Well, Jonathan, we're glad that you remembered us and took the trouble to come in and say hello. But you were never happy in this house, and we were never happy while you were in it. So we've just come in to say goodbye.
Aunt Abby, I can't say as your feelings towards me comes as a surprise. I've spent a great many years regretting the many heartaches I must have given you as a boy.
You were quite a trial to us, Jonathan.
But my great disappointment is for Dr. Einstein. I promised him that no matter how rushed we were in passing through Brooklyn, I'd take the time to bring him home for one of Aunt Martha's home-cooked dinners.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm afraid there wouldn't be enough.
Abby, it's a pretty good-sized pot roast.
Pot roast!
I think the least we can do is...
Thank you, Aunt Martha. We'll stay to dinner.
We'll hurry it along.
Yes.
Oh, Jonathan, if you want to freshen up, you can use the washroom in Grandfather's old laboratory.
Is that still there?
Yes, just as he left it. Well, I'll go help Martha get things started, since we're all in a hurry.
Well, they get a meal in, eh?
Grandfather's old laboratory, just as he left it. Doctor, a perfect operating room.
Too bad we can't use it.
When he finished with me, we could make a fortune here. Grandfather's This house so perfect for us, so peaceful.
George!
Our experience in Indiana.
Well, Jonathan, you've led a very interesting life, I'm sure. But we shouldn't have allowed you to talk so late.
My meeting Dr. Einstein in London, I may say, changed the whole course of my life.
You remember I've been in South Africa, the diamond business, and then Amsterdam, the diamond market. I wanted to go back to South Africa, and Dr. Einstein made it possible for me.
Good job, John. Well, let me take the bandages off. His face looks so different. The nurse had to introduce me.
I love that face. I still carry a picture with me.
Well, Jonathan, this looks more the way you used to look, but I still didn't know you.
I think we'll go back to that face, Doctor.
Yeah, it's safe now.
Well, I know you both want to get you wherever you're going.
My dear Aunt Abby, I'm so full of that delicious dinner I'm unable to refuse.
Yeah, it's nice here.
After all, it's very late and
I found it.
What did you find, Teddy?
Story of my life, my biography. Here's the picture I was telling you about, General. President Roosevelt and General Goethals at the Caliber Club. There's me, General, and that's you.
My, how I've changed.
Well, you see, that picture hasn't even been taken yet. We hadn't even started working on the project. In fact, we're still digging lots. And now, General, you will accompany me on the inspection of the new lot.
No, Teddy, not to Panama.
We go some other time. Panama is a long way off.
Nonsense. It's just down in the cellar.
The cellar?
we like to dig the Panama Canal in the cellar.
General Goethals, as President of the United States, the Commander-in-Chief of the Army and Navy, and the man who gave you this job, I demand that you accompany me on the inspection of the new lot.
Teddy, I think it's time you went to bed.
I beg your pardon? Who are you?
I'm Woodrow Wilson. Go to bed.
No, you're not Wilson, but your face is familiar. Where have I seen that face before? Ah, in Africa. You look like someone I might have met in Germany.
It's your brother Jonathan, dear.
He's had a face change.
So that's it, a nature faker.
And perhaps you had better get to bed, Teddy. Jonathan and his friend have to get back to their hotel.
General Goethals, inspect the canal.
All right, Mr. President. We go to Panama.
Fully. Follow me, General. Down south, you know.
Well, bon voyage.
Aunt Abby, I must correct your misapprehension. You spoke of a hotel. We have no hotel. We came here directly.
Well, it's a very nice little hotel just 3 blocks down the street.
Aunt Martha, this is my home.
But Jonathan, you can't stay here. We need our room.
You need them?
Yes, for our lodgers.
Are there lodgers in this house?
Well, not just now, but we plan to have some.
Then my old room is still free.
Oh, but there's no place for Dr. Einstein.
There's 2 beds in the room. He'll share the room with me.
No,
sorry, Aunt Abby. It's out of my hands. They'll have to be told. Army regulations, you know.
But we must keep it secret. Yes.
A state secret?
Yes, a state secret. Promise?
You have the word of the President of the United States. Cross my heart and hope to die. Now, how are we going to keep this a secret?
Well, Teddy, you go back downstairs, and when I turn off the lights, when it's all dark, you come up and take the poor man down to the canal. Now go along, Teddy.
We'll come down later and make services.
You may announce the President will say a few words. Where is the poor devil?
He's in the window seat.
Seems to be spreading. We've never had yellow fever there before.
Martha, when Jonathan and Dr. Einstein come back, let's see if we can get them to go to bed right away.
Yes, and by the time they're asleep, we'll be dressed for the funeral. Abby, I've never been seen Mr. Hoskins.
Oh my goodness, that's right. You were out. Well, you just come right over here and see him now. He's really very nice looking, considering that he's a Methodist.
Oh! What are you doing, Jonathan?
We're bringing the luggage through here.
Well, you can go right up. Your room's waiting for you.
I'm afraid we don't keep Brooklyn hours, but you two are along to bed.
Now you must be very tired. Both of you. And we don't go to bed this early.
Well, you should. It's time I came home to take care of you.
We weren't planning to go.
And Martha, did you hear me say go to bed? The instruments can go to the laboratory in the morning. Now then, we're all going to bed.
I'll wait till you're up and then turn out the lights.
The attic steps are through that door. Run along, Aunt Martha. All right, Aunt Abby.
I'll be right up.
Now, Aunt Abby, turn out the lights. shouldn't be allowed around Luke.
Take your hands off me!
Doctor!
It's going to be a private deal.
Teddy, tell me who I am!
That's my daughter, Alice. Charge!
No, Teddy!
Doctor, your handkerchief! Get her in the cellar!
What are you doing? What's happening down there?
What's going on?
We caught a burglar, a sneak thief. Go back to your room.
We'll call the police.
We've called the police. We'll handle this. Go back to your room. Do you hear me?
Mortimer, where have you been?
Nora faced Cedar, and I should have known better. My God, I'm still there.
This is your brother. This is your brother Jonathan, dear.
Who did you say this was?
It's your brother Jonathan.
I've come back home, Mortimer.
I know this isn't a nightmare, but what is it?
I've come back to stay.
Who did you say this was?
It's your brother Jonathan. He's had his face changed. Dr. Einstein performed the operation.
Jonathan? Jonathan, you always were a terror, but you have to look like one?
Easy, Johnny. Easy.
Mortimer, remember how I used to hurt you as a boy? The needles under your fingernails?
My God, it is Jonathan. Yes, I remember. I remember you as the most vicious, detestable form of animal life I ever knew.
Now, don't you two boys start quarreling the minute you've seen each other.
There won't be any night and Abby. Jonathan, you're not coming here. Get out.
Dr. Einstein and I have been invited to stay.
Not in this house.
Just for tonight.
I don't want him anywhere near me.
But we did invite him to stay for tonight, and it wouldn't be very nice to go back on our word.
got the idea from Hoskins. By the way, where is Mr. Hoskins?
He must have gone to Panama.
Oh, you buried him.
Not yet. We haven't had time to hold Jonathan in the house. Oh dear, we've always wanted to hold a double funeral, but I will not read services over a total stranger.
A stranger? Aunt Abby, how can I believe you? There are 12 men in your cellar, and you admit you poisoned them.
Yes, I did, but you don't think I'd stoop to telling a fib. Martha!
smoothly running along.
Don't you try that. You can't go without taking everything with you. Well, O'Hara, you run along home, my brothers. Just going.
I've been waiting. I've been waiting 12 years.
I'm sorry I was so long.
Don't bring that in here. Officer O'Hara, would you join us for a bite in the kitchen?
The kitchen? Jonathan's leaving. Oh, well, that's nice. Come along, Officer O'Hara. Sure you don't mind eating in the kitchen, Mr. O'Hara?
And where else would you be?
Goodbye, Jonathan. Nice to have seen you again.
I'm glad you came back to Brooklyn, Jonathan, because it gives me a chance to throw you out. And the first one out is your buddy Spenalzo.
Mr. Brewster, we can talk in here.
I'll be right back out.
I might have known you throw up trying to play with a policeman.
Get going now, all three of you.
Doctor, this affair between my brother and I has got to be settled.
Johnny, we got trouble enough. Your brother gives us a chance to get a baby. What more could you ask?
You don't understand. This goes back a good many years.
Johnny, let's get going.
We're not going. We're staying right here tonight.
With the cop in the kitchen and Mr. Spenalzo in the window seat?
That's all he's got on us. We'll take Mr. Spenalzo and dump him in the bay. And if anyone tries to interfere...
Johnny,
Doctor, you know when I've made up my mind.
yeah, when you've made up your mind, you lose your head. Brooklyn ain't a good place for you.
Doctor,
Okay, we stick together. Someday we'll get stuck together. If we're staying here tonight, we've got to take this with us.
no. Leave it here. Hide it in the cellar. Move fast. Spenalzo can go out the same way he came in.
Johnny, come quick.
What's the matter?
You know that hole down in the cellar?
Yes.
Because we got an ace in the hole.
Jonathan! Jonathan! Jonathan!
Yes, Mortimer.
Where have you two been? I thought I told you to get
We're
going.
not going anywhere.
Oh, you're not. You don't think I'm serious about this. You and O'Hara to see what's in that window seat?
We're staying right here tonight.
Very well. You asked for it. This gets rid of you and O'Hara at the same time. Officer O'Hara, would you come in here?
If you tell O'Hara what's in the window seat, I'll tell him what's down in the cellar.
The cellar?
There's an elderly gentleman in your cellar who seems to be very dead.
What are you doing in the cellar?
What's he doing in the cellar?
No, thank you, ma'am. They're fine. I've had plenty.
Now, what were you going to say to O'Hara?
Look, Mr. Brewster, your aunt's want to hear it too. Shall I get them in here?
Not now, O'Hara. You gotta go check in.
The hell with checking in. Listen, I'll get your aunt in here and tell you the plot.
No, we'll get together over a drink sometime.
How about Kelly's bar?
All right, you go check in and I'll meet you at Kelly's.
Why don't you two talk in the cellar?
That's fine with me. Is this the cellar over
No,
here?
we can go to Kelly's, but you can check in on the way.
All right, but that'll only take a couple of minutes.
I'll ditch this guy and be back in 5 minutes. I'll expect to find you gone. On second thought, wait for me.
We'll wait for him, Doctor. I've waited a good many years for a chance like this.
We got him right where we fought him. Did he look guilty?
Take the bags back up to our room, Doctor.
next day.
No. Tonight. Now.
But, Johnny, I'm tired. Tomorrow I go to operate.
Yes, you're operating tomorrow, Doctor, but tonight we take care of Mortimer.
Please, Johnny, tonight we go to bed.
Doctor, look at me. You can see it's going to be done, can't you?
Ah, Johnny, I can see. I know that look.
It's a little late for us to dissolve our partnership.
Okay, we do it. But the quick way. The quick twist, like in London.
No, I think this calls for something special. I think perhaps the Melbourne method.
Johnny, no. 2 hours. And then it was all over but the fellow in London was just as dead as the fellow in Melbourne.
No, we had to work too fast in London. There was no aesthetic satisfaction in it. But Melbourne, there was something to remember.
Remember? Fish I think. No, Johnny. Not Melbourne, not me.
Yes, Doctor. Go get the instruments.
I won't do it, Johnny. I won't get it.
Get the instruments, Doctor.
No, Johnny.
Why didn't you put them? Oh, yes, you hid them in the cellar. Where?
I won't tell you.
I'll find them, Doctor.
Go do that, Mr. President.
Well, I cannot find any proclamation without consulting my cabinet.
But this must be a secret.
A secret proclamation? How unusual.
Japan mustn't know until it's signed.
Japan? Those yellow devils? I'll sign right away. I can let my cabinet know later.
Yes, so let's go inside.
You wait here. A secret proclamation has to be signed. It's secret. I'll have to put on my signing clothes.
You go now, huh? Oh, no, Doctor. I'm waiting for something. Something important. Please, you go now. Doctor, I have nothing against you personally. You seem to be a nice fellow. Take my advice, get out of this house and get just as far away as possible. Trouble? Yeah, you get out. Don't say I didn't warn you. I'm calling you. Get away, quick. Things are going to start popping around here any minute. Listen, Johnny's in a bad mood. When he gets like this, he's a madman. Things happen. Terrible things. Charlatan doesn't worry me now. Ah, people don't those plays you see teach you anything about what? Well, at least people in plays act like they got sense. That's more than you do. You think so? You think people in plays act intelligently? I wish you had to sit through some of the ones I've had to. Take this little opus I saw tonight, for instance. There's this man.
officer. Good night.
I better speak to him myself. Where are the lights? Hey, you stood me up. I waited an hour at Kelly's for you. What happened to him?
He was explaining what happened in the play he saw tonight. This is what happened to the fellow in the play.
Did they have that in the play you saw tonight? Gee, they practically stole that from the second act of my play.
What?
In the second act of my play. Just before the... Well, I better begin at the beginning. It opens in my mother's dressing room, where I was born. Only I ain't born yet. Oh, yeah. No. You gotta get a plot. She's sitting there making up, see? But all of a sudden, through the door, in walks a man with a black mustache. Turns to my mother and says,
Miss Blackboard, will you marry me?
he doesn't know she's pregnant. There she is, lying unconscious across the table in her lingerie. The guy standing over her with a hatchet. I'm tied up in a chair, just like you are now. The place is an inferno of flames. It's on fire. When all of a sudden, through the window comes the mayor with Warrior. Hey, take it easy on that. Remember to pay for it.
But I'm listening, ain't I?
Well, how's it so hard?
Better put Johnny to sleep.
Oh, leave him alone. He ain't got no more sense than that. He doesn't get it. All right. It's 3 days later. I'm transferred. I'm under charges because someone stole my badge. All right, I'm walking my beat on Staten Island, 46th precinct. When the guy I'm supposed to be following turns out he's really following me. Don't let anybody in. So I figured out smart. There's a vacant house in the corner. I go in. It's cops! I stand there in the dark, and I see the door handle turn.
Johnny, it's cops! Cops!
I brace myself against the wall. Oh my God! Say, come in. What the hell's going on here? Hey, Pat, what do you know? This is Mortimer Brewster. Me and him are gonna ride a play together. I was just telling him the plot.
Did you have to tie him up to make him listen?
No, better report in at the station. The whole force is out looking for you.
Did they send you here for me?
We didn't know he was here.
Came to work the old ladies at their telephone page. The colonel blew his bugle again in the middle of the night.
From the way the neighbors have been calling in about it, you'd think the Germans had dropped the bomb on Flatbush Avenue.
The lieutenant's on a work ban. Says that the colonel's got to be put away someplace.
Yes.
Gee, Mr. Brewster, I gotta get away, so I'll just run through the third act quick.
Get away from me.
Say, do you know what time it is? It's after 8 o'clock in the morning.
It is? Hey, look, Mr. Brewster, them first two acts run a little long, but I don't see anything we can leave out.
You can leave it all out.
How's this guy?
That's my brother.
Oh, the one that ran away, so he came back.
Yes, he came back.
This is Brody, get me Mac. Better let them know we found you, Joe. Hey, Mac, you can tell the lieutenant to call off the big manhunt. We found him in the Brewster house. You want us to bring him in? All right, we'll hold him right here. The lieutenant's on his way over.
So I've been turned in, eh? All right, you got me. Now I suppose you and that stool-pigeon brother of mine will split the reward.
Reward?
Now, I'll do some turning in. You think my aunts are sweet, charming old ladies, don't you? Well, there are 13 bodies that are buried in the cellar.
Penny!
What the hell are you talking about?
13 bodies, I'll show you where they're buried.
13 bodies in the cellar? Well, there are 13 bodies in the cellar.
And who are you?
I'm President Roosevelt.
What the hell is this?
This is the fellow that closed the bureau.
Morning, Colonel.
Well, Colonel, you've blown your last bugle. Dear me, another yellow fever victim.
All the bodies in the cellar are yellow fever victims. No, Colonel, this is a spy recon the lighthouse.
Will you get that guy out of here?
If there's any questioning of spies, it's my department.
Now you stay out of it.
You're forgetting. As president, I'm also head of the Secret Service.
Captain, I'm Mortimer Bruce.
Are you sure about that?
Well,
It's Lieutenant.
I'd like to speak with you about my brother, Teddy, the one who blew the bugle.
Mr. Brewster, we ain't gonna talk about that. He's got to be put away.
Oh, I quite agree with you. In fact, I've been over to see Dr. Gilchrist, our founding physician, to get his signature on Teddy's commitment papers. Teddy signed them himself, and I've signed them as next of kin. Where's he go? Happiness.
I don't care, as long as he goes.
Oh, he's going all right, and I want you to know that everything that's happened around here, Teddy's responsible for. Now, those 13 bodies in the cellar...
Yeah, those 13 bodies in the cellar. Look, it ain't enough that he's going around scaring all the neighbors with that bugle. But can you imagine what would happen if that story about 13 bodies in the cellar got around? And now we started a yellow fever scare.
Cute, ain't it? 13 bodies. Did think anyone would believe that story?
Well, you never know. Some people are just dumb enough. Why, about a year ago, I had a guy over in Greenpoint start a murder scare. I had to dig up half an acre lot just to prove that
If you'll excuse me.
Good morning, dear.
Good morning, dear.
This is Mr. Witherspoon. He's come to meet Teddy.
To meet Teddy?
Mr. Witherspoon's the superintendent of Happydale.
Oh, well, come in. Come in. This is Captain Lieutenant.
Rooney. I'm glad you're here, Super. You're taking it back with you today.
Today? I didn't know that.
Not today.
Elaine, I've got a lot of business to attend to, so if you don't want to come, I'll call you.
I'm here to stay, Mortimer.
I had no idea it was this meeting. The papers are all signed. He goes today.
Complete incompetence! You men will find out I know Mama's boy. When the President of the United States is treated like that, what is this world coming to?
There's your man, Super.
Just a minute. Mr. President, I've got some very good news for you. Your term of office is over.
Didn't watch the boy.
Practically.
Doggone, I think about it. I better get started meeting.
am wasting my morning. And I have very important work to do. You know there are still murders to be solved in Brooklyn?
Yeah. Oh, are there?
Yeah. And it's not only that your nephew scared all the neighbors with that bugle, but it would just get worse. Sooner or later, I'd have to go through the trouble of digging up your cellar.
Our cellar?
Yeah, and your nephew's been telling around that there are 13 bodies buried in your cellar.
But there are 13 bodies buried in our cellar.
If that's why you think Teddy has to go away, you come down to the cellar with us and we'll prove it to you.
There's one Mr. Spenalzo who doesn't belong and who will have to leave. But the other 12 are our gentlemen.
I don't think the lieutenant wants to dig up our cellar. He was telling me that only last year he had to dig up a half-an-acre lot. But where's your lieutenant?
That's right.
Oh, you wouldn't have to dig here. The graves are all marked. We put flowers on them every Sunday.
Flowers? Superintendent, don't you think you can find room for these ladies?
You come along with us and we'll show you the graves.
That's okay, lady. I'm a busy man. I'll take your word for it. How about it, Super?
Well, they'd have to be committed.
Well, Teddy committed himself, but can't they commit themselves? Can't they sign the papers? our children very